All right, maybe that's enough. Looks like we've got the right quorum of people here. So again, thank you all for dialing in today into this webinar. This is how SMBs can win with AI. I am Trent Gillespie. I'm the CEO at Stellis AI. Maybe you've seen me before at one of my presentations. Maybe you found this through LinkedIn. This event is the first one that we're doing like this. And so what we've been doing over the last couple of years is working with organizations to figure out how to adopt AI into those organizations. I spend a lot of time out speaking, which I'll talk about in just a minute here. But a lot of times when I do that, we haven't really had a great way of giving individuals feedback to the small business owners that are there. We thought we'd try a new way today to try and engage and share information because there's just so much information out there and it's so hard to sift through. And so what we've got is a presentation here, and this is going to be a virtual presentation, of course. That means you can interact with us. And that's a wholly different thing for me because typically I'm on a stage and people don't really have a good way to ask questions while we're doing things. And so feel free to use the chat as we go along here. If you've got any questions at all, I'll try and address those or maybe wait until the end when we do a full-on Q&A session. But because this is a smaller group, we've got that ability to interact. And so please do, let's take advantage of it. Okay. All right. So where I wanted to start with first here is actually not a demonstration, a little bit of background here. I'm just going to make a change to the layout so you can see the screen a little bit better here. All right. And so just for a little bit about me, so you know where I'm coming from here. I've been in technology for a very long time, about 25 years or so, but I spent about 9 years at Amazon. And while there, I did a whole bunch of different things. But the first thing that I did is I coordinated a lot of its global expansion across every business in the globe, from London to Dubai, is what I typically say, and across every type of business, from Amazon Video to AWS to retail and many other things. So I really got involved in how to create growth for a large organization like that, all of which was using AI one way or another. And then I moved over into delivery innovation. So figuring out how to actually build the whole delivery network so you could get packages through those gray vans that you all hopefully order from all the time. And then I spent my last couple of years there leading Amazon Alexa privacy, risk, and compliance. And so I set the standards for Amazon Alexa as an AI to be appropriately private and secure everywhere in the world, and then made sure that it did it with my team. That gave me a lot of experience about using AI and how to use it for growth and drive really expansion throughout the world and do it effectively as well. Now, when I left Amazon during COVID, I started working with smaller organizations to share how to use these tools because I just think it's so important for every organization to have the same benefits that Amazon does. And so I started speaking to large groups. I've been invited to do that many different times. And so I go out and I share again from the stage. I help teach leaders how to take advantage of these tools, everything from how to implement it to security policies and everything in between. But again, as I do this, I'm typically on a big stage. And that means it's pretty difficult for me to actually give direct feedback to people. And I've also got a very limited schedule. And so I've not really been able to engage as broadly with so many small and mid-sized business leaders that really need the help right now. And so that's, again, why we're meeting today to go through all of this. We're exploring a new way of delivering some support and content to leaders that really need it today. Yeah. And so really the most important thing I wanted to ground us on is this one concept that I share in many of my presentations. And so I want to just start here. And this is that AI isn't a tool. It is your new operating system. Okay. And so what I mean by this is it's not just another application you install. It's not something that you just give over to IT for them to improve your company with, because it fundamentally changes everything in your company. It will change everything about how you deliver your products and services. It will change what your products and services are. It changes the skills of you as a leader. It changes the skills of your employees. It's going to change your cost structures, literally every single process. And so foundationally, the way that successful businesses are approaching it that are using AI today, they're looking at it again, not as just one-time applications you just give out. They're looking at it as a full transformation of your business. And I think the best way to think about that is that it is your new operating system. It's the business operating system of the future. And you've got to start moving your organization toward it if you want to get those benefits. Now, there's a whole lot of different parts of this we're going to explore. And one of the things I said when I advertised this event out is we were going to talk about what the reality is on the ground today and what we're seeing. And so I wanted to actually start with this point. I was given some research just this week even that showed that only 7% of small businesses have an effective AI strategy they're executing today. Only 7%. Okay. I think it's actually a lot worse than that, to be honest, because so many different organizations out there really don't have any intentionality with what they're doing. They've maybe said, hey, we're using ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or something like that, which is great as a first step, but they don't really have concrete plans beyond that point. And so the first thing I wanted to show here that helps understand what you need to do is what I call the capability model for generative AI. And it starts with experimentation. This is where most organizations are, 93% probably at least. And this means that their leaders are out there experimenting, their staff are experimenting with these tools, trying to figure out the right way to use them. And that's, again, where most people are today. But the problem is that you're not really going to get organizational benefits if that's where you stay. You've got to be able to do more with it. And that means to move up that capability model. And so the next level here is called task adoption. And what this is when you go into an individual process in your organization, you find part of that process where you can apply AI to it and you apply AI to it. And so maybe this is like in the sales use case, you're using it. Whoop, I don't know why it's advancing for me. Hold on here. I'll go back there. That was weird. There we go here. Oh, so what I was saying is that you find an individual process or part of a process, and you begin to apply it. And ideally, anybody that is out there doing that same task begins to use AI for supporting that task in exactly the same way. And that means you start to get a little bit more breadth of use of that AI in that task and some benefits from it as well. That's the next step up. And then from there, it moves into process standardization. That means you look at, instead of one task in that process, you look at the complete process and you reinvent it. Okay. You look at it top to bottom to say, how would we design this process if AI was at the center of it today? And this does mean you end up changing things. You change boundaries between organizations. You change how you approach putting the information in, getting it out. You automate stuff. Okay? And so that's the process standardization level. And what we see is you don't really start getting material benefits from AI in your organization until you hit it. And from there, you move up to customer offerings. And customer offerings are when you start changing how you actually serve your customers because of it, and maybe even create brand new customer offerings. And then from there, it moves up to wholly new business models. Okay. And this is where you change really how you are in the marketplace and how you compete. And the key message here is you want to move up this capability model. Okay. And that's actually what AI strategy is. Okay, so many people get confused. They say, hey, I do have an AI strategy. I don't have an AI strategy. What is an AI strategy? At the end of the day, an AI strategy is very simply, how do you move up this capability model? Continually get better and better in your business. Okay, so that's what you need to be able to do if you want to be successful with it. Now, I want to go back here. I don't know why my slides are advancing automatically here, so sorry about that. What I want to go back to here is our meeting chat. And so what I'm going to ask here is a question for everybody. Since this is virtual and a smaller group, we can have some interaction here. And so what I want to get from you right now is, if you are a daily AI user, if you are, would you put into the chat a yes or daily if you're using AI daily, an app like ChatGPT, something like that? Let's get a feel for how the usage is in the audience here today. All right, one from Jared. He's using it daily. That's great. Maybe even say what the application is that you're using every day. Which one is it? You got two. Thank you, Leah. All right, another one from Matt there. So great. We're getting a lot of good daily users. It's awesome. ChatGPT, good. Anybody else? Okay, occasionally there. All right, another one from ChatGPT. All right, so what we got there, and again, I don't know if everybody did it, but we had probably maybe 6 people on the call say they're daily AI users. That's actually pretty typical. Okay, there's not a ton of people who are doing that yet, but when we start working with a new organization, this is one of the key things we figure out. We typically will survey them and their employees to figure out who is using AI, how much they're using it, the benefits they're getting. And so, what I'm finding right now is that when people say that they're using AI daily and they're truly doing it, they're also reporting about a 20% improvement in productivity. Okay, and they're getting a better quality of work. Okay. And so if you're working a 40-hour work week, this is up to 8 hours of additional time you get back to either maybe go home early or potentially just work on new things or do a better quality of work. And so really, this is the most important thing I want to convey today. Well, maybe one of them is that you've got to be able to use AI daily if you want to get the benefits. Okay. If you're not using it daily right now, you're not going to understand all the different ways to communicate and build that skill. And so you want to build this as yourself as a leader and with all of your employees. That framework of just using AI daily is what's going to create a big difference in your organization. Okay. Now, the next thing is we're also finding that today, when we go into a new organization, around 40% of their employees are saying that they're already using AI as part of their job. Okay, 40%. Okay. Now, there's a few important points here that you should take away from it. The first one is that many people are doing it, even if they're not even authorized by their company. And that means that it is providing value to them. That's why that use is out there. So people who are still concerned about, like, is AI hype or not? It is valuable, and we're seeing it every single day as organizations begin to work with it. The second thing that is important here is that I think very soon here, in the next couple months, probably, it's going to be at about 50% adoption. Okay. And that means if you're not using it or you've got employees who aren't using it, they're going to be in the minority and at a big disadvantage. And then finally, if you are not using AI in your organization and supporting everybody to use it, you're going to be at a disadvantage. Yeah. And so really, it's important for you to start getting it out there and set that expectation, get it out of the shadows so people can begin to use it. Okay. All right. I see that there's a question in the chat here. Let's take a look from Tim. What the problem you're trying to solve versus experimentation? So absolutely. So there's two different ways to address this, Tim. It's a great question. So the first level is what I consider to be foundation up adoption. And so you just need to build the ability for people to use AI as a skill. That's what I'm talking about the daily use and experimenting, right? You need to do that so you can start to learn it and figure out the right way to start applying it in your organization. What you're saying here about the guidance about figuring out a business objective and then going after that, that is exactly what we say too, but that's what I consider to kind of be the top-down investment. And so when you're looking to actually make an investment to automate a task, to bring an outside consultant in, or build custom software, that is exactly what you want to follow. You want to choose something specific to your business that you think you can affect, that has a material benefit, and then you put it in place. Okay. So two different views for two different things there, but that is exactly right when you start to want to actually implement it. So the next thing that's super important here, and this is new research that just came out of Anthropic recently, is about 69% of employees are scared to tell other people about their AI use. Okay. And this is super important because that means that that environment is not a safe environment for employees to begin using AI. If they don't feel safe, they're not going to tell you about it. They're not going to share what they're learning with other people, and they're just not going to use these tools. And so if you want to get benefits of it in your organization as a business leader, you've got to recognize you need to provide a safe environment for people to experiment with these tools. And there's a whole bunch of different aspects about this because at the end of the day, people are worried about their jobs. Some people are worried about their job being taken away because of automation, right? And other people are worried about their job being lost because they do something wrong with AI. The last couple of years, all we've said is AI is dangerous, right? It's got all these risks associated with it. And people have really internalized that now. And so if you want to get the benefits in an organization this year, the way to do it is to make your people feel safe using it, right? Make them understand that their job isn't going to be at risk and they need to experiment and learn and share that. And if they do it, then they'll be able to get benefits. They'll see and learn new ways, and you can start to take advantage of it in your job. But you've got to provide that safe environment for them. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions about this point, or do you feel the same thing? Has anybody brought this up about not feeling safe to be able to use these tools in your job? Just curious. All right. Nobody has anything about that. That's fine. Oh, just a no there. Okay. So just keep that in mind. It is a pretty significant issue that's going on right now. All right. So where are we seeing the best uses of AI today in organizations? So I put together this small chart to talk through here for a few minutes. So the first area is revenue generation. The next is operational efficiency. And then the third is innovation and change. These are the best processes, I think, to start with right now. Okay. And I'll talk through a few of these and then we can dig into some examples as well. So the first one, marketing. This is a really obvious one, super useful. Everything from writing content to creating images. You're all seeing that there's so much AI generated stuff out there right now. It's definitely where to start. And when you do it, you can get about a 400% improvement in productivity from a marketing team. There's platforms that we partner with. There's one we have a partnership with called Omada. And what they do is they help small businesses specifically automate their Instagram and social media posts and video creation and other things. And so you can get really large benefits about marketing just by using these tools. There's a whole bunch on the market. Everybody should already be doing that. Next one is sales. We'll talk about this with an example in just a few minutes here, but being able to better do sales. And I don't mean just sending out more spam. I mean doing personalized sales. You can get some really great benefits. And I'll give you an example in a minute. Proposal generation, another huge one. Being able to automate this process to some degree, at least being able to create good quality formatted proposals and come up with high quality content that goes in them, definitely do that. Next was contracting, contract review for sure, looking for red flags, and then creating new contracts. And then if you need to, send it off to an attorney to ratify. Huge benefits. The next one is customer intelligence. I didn't have an example of like how much this improves, but it's huge. Depends on how much you're already doing this in your company. So what I mean by this is you're now able to look at feedback from your customers and do a sentiment analysis on it to understand how are they doing? Are they concerned? Do they love your company? Do they have challenges? And then you can take action on it because AI can look at, prior tickets that they've put in with you, emails, all of these things to figure out really how are they thinking about your business. Okay. And so those are the most important ones I think to start with that every business should be working on. If you've got questions about any of these, make sure you put them in the chat. I'll be happy to address those. Okay. And we also say that when you start working with AI, this is revenue generation is exactly the first place to start because it's low risk and it brings in revenue. Okay. You should definitely do these things. Now, the next category is operational efficiency. And so there's a few things here. Of course, you want to be efficient with AI. You want to get better productivity out of it. And so the first things to start with is research. And there's many different types of research that you can do. There's customer research, there's market research, there's research against all of your emails about how you've had a relationship with a customer, things that you've done. It just helps everywhere when you start to use those skills. In ChatGPT, there's a product called Deep Research. It's also over in Perplexity and a couple others. And it is superb because what it does, it actually creates an agent, and that agent does the research for you. So it goes out and it figures out the right way to do things, and it also avoids hallucination. Okay, so definitely try to use that. The next one here is content creation. Now, I put this here under operational efficiency because there's a different type of content than marketing. You can do things like create an SOP. You can write a report by uploading data and then having it analyze that data for you. That's the next one. So there's all sorts of content you can write in your organization that you can use AI for. And it's way more than just let's write an email, right? Reports are probably one of the best things. It could be a document summary, SOPs, any number of the documents you create in business, use AI to support it. Okay. Next one is data analysis. I mentioned that a moment ago. You can upload a spreadsheet and have it do the analysis. And it can do some pretty sophisticated things. It runs behind the scenes. Python is the computer language. It can do a lot of statistics and other things. And so It's very easy to do. I was talking with the CEO even just earlier this week. This was a small business, and she said she doesn't have a full-time CFO. And so what she's been doing now is she uses ChatGPT to do financial analyses and understanding things for her. She takes her P&L, uploads it, and is able to ask it questions and understand things that she's just never been able to do before. Okay. And so just try that. Upload a spreadsheet sometime and ask questions about it. Have it create a graph. Okay. Next was training. Superb for this. And there's many different ways to do this. It could be that you set up something like a GPT within ChatGPT with all of your customer policies or FAQs and other things. And then you can have people, you can train new employees about those processes by having them talk to the GPT, because it has all of your standard ways of engaging with customers. You can also do things like role playing. Okay. And so you can have it say role play a difficult scenario with the customer. And you can even do that through voice interaction. So training is super important. I see Tim put a question in here about uploading your P&L. So I'll address this in a few minutes when it comes to some recommendations. But the answer is, if you have a secure and business level license, it should be safe. Okay. Now, as a small aside into that, there's many people who are out there using the free level of AI tools today. That could be a ChatGPT, it could be the free version of Copilot, any of these. Those are not confidential. They do not protect your data. You should not use them for anything that you are concerned about confidentiality on. Okay. But if you are using a business level one, the Teams version of Claude, the business version of ChatGPT, the paid version of Copilot, those have the same liability protections and security protections in place as the primary platforms, things like Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace for Business. And so if you are comfortable sharing your P&L or other information with your Microsoft Excel system and your Microsoft M365, then you should be perfectly comfortable to share it with Microsoft M365 Copilot, again, assuming you're using the paid business version. Does that address your question well enough, Tim? Or any further questions or clarifications? Okay, perfect. Yeah, and this is super important to communicate to employees, because many employees are just using random AI applications that are free. So this is all part about setting standards internally and guardrails about what is appropriate for employees to use or not. Yeah. The next one is that first-tier customer support. You can set AI up to at least give you a draft response automatically if you've put together all of your typical FAQs. So it can really speed things up there. And then on the finance side, invoice matching, expense reconciliation, those are very easy things to begin doing with AI. And then finally, to briefly touch on the innovation and change, process improvement. Ask AI how to change a process, how to improve it. Start working with it to come up with new ideas. And then there's software development, which is way, way better and easier with these cool tools. So these are some of the top use cases here that you should start with. But I want to just ask everybody here, do you have a particular top use case that you would recommend to other people that they start with? If you do, let's go ahead and just drop that into the chat. Anything that you have found to be most useful? Anything? All right, maybe not today. Okay. So one of those, all right, so we got a deep research. That's great. One of those that we think is most useful to start with, I want to talk a little bit about, is sales. Okay. A few minutes ago, I told you that if you want to get benefits, you need to reinvent your process for AI at the center. And that's kind of confusing to people. People don't understand what I mean by reinvent the process. And so I thought I would both give you a visual here and a demonstration in just a moment about how to do it. And so the way you reinvent sales now, and this is actually what we're building within Stellis, one of our tools, is first you build an agent. And so when I say agent, what I mean by that is there's an AI chatbot, and that is like ChatGPT, but then an agent is an additional function. This is a semi-autonomous program that will go and do things on your behalf. There is an agent that's built in a ChatGPT, and there's a bunch of others in the market now. But again, they're different from a regular computer program because they will go do things to help support whatever your goal is. They take your goal, they break it down to the tasks they think they should follow, and then they just go and do it for you without you giving them precise instruction. Okay. That's an agent. And so when we're reinventing the sales process for agents, the first thing we do is we create a prospecting agent. This is one that's out there looking for new leads all the time. It looks at signals in the marketplace. Who knows what it's looking at, but it's going out there trying to find different prospects that might be a fit for your organization. Okay. And then when it finds one, it sends it over to another agent. And this is another semi-autonomous agent that's optimized for how to find people that match your ideal customer profile. And so that means it might find a lead, but maybe they're not in your service area. Maybe you're based out here in Seattle, Washington. They're based over on the East Coast, right? Maybe they're not the right size of organization or the right role of person. And the qualifier agent's able to go out and find information about them and then make sure they fit, again, your ideal customer profile. From there, if they pass that, they go over to a research agent. And that research agent, what it does is it goes and finds everything else about them and their company. It might look at things like quarterly earnings statements that are public. It might look at current news, and it puts together the right information you need to know about that prospect so you can have a better sales conversation for them. Okay. So at that point, your salesperson, when they get to work in the morning, they have qualified prospects that already have been researched and even have a specific sales strategy to go and reach out to them, all ready to go. That's what I mean by reinventing sales. Okay. And I thought I would now give you a demonstration of one way we're doing this to make it easy to organizations within ChatGPT. So I'm going to switch my screen over for a second and show you my ChatGPT. Give me just a moment here. All right, so you should now see my ChatGPT. I'll zoom in just a little bit here. And so what I did is we have an agent built within ChatGPT as a GPT, and I know terminology is confusing. And I did a demo here for an organization that we were working with. And so I identified for them, they had a prospect. This person's name is Serge, I guess. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And so I told them, go ahead and prepare to do an introductory call with this person, okay, for this company. And this is a traditional manufacturing organization. And so what happened is the agent went out and it thought for almost 2 minutes here. And it actually was 3 different agents running beneath the scenes, essentially what I just described a second ago in PowerPoint. And it did a whole bunch of things. So when it did research for them, looked across a whole bunch of different sites, trying to pull together every single thing that it could about this organization. Okay. And so when it did, it brought back, it's got a picture of the person, some information, some other pictures about them. It says, now here's information about the company. They're a cement company. Right now, they're focused on balancing growth initiatives in different markets with operational priorities, a few other things. This is the contact. They are the president of the company, right? And he joined in 2016. Okay, give some background on them, and I can drill into that to get additional information. Looks like there's 2 different websites that got information from there, or maybe 3. It brings in recent information. Right now, we bring in 3 of the most recent news articles that we think are relevant to a potential sales opportunity. For this one, they had finalized an asset purchase a year or so ago. They're currently working on breaking ground on a new facility and looking for an Energy Star certification. And so for this organization, the call strategy might be to focus on these products. And I don't know anything about this industry at all, but maybe the best thing is that they should go into the conversation trying to support selling these products of theirs. And then it came up with specific questions about how to have a leading and consultative conversation, entirely optimized what that customer's or what that prospect's needs are and how this organization can serve it. And so again, I don't know anything about these, but the question here is like, where are you seeing the highest unplanned downtime in your business? And the instruction here is to listen for these things like recurring failures, maintenance bottlenecks, leakage, because these are the things that the company could then serve with their products. Okay. So if they're mentioned, that's an opportunity to do a new sale. And it goes through some example questions here based off of a sales methodology that we had, and then some other tips. And then on top of this, it can actually create an entire customized sales script. So when you get on the phone with them, you know exactly what to say, right? Here's an opening. Thanks for making time for me. Here's some questions that show that you understand them. You understand they've been growing, right? And then it goes through a series of questions with even follow-up questions that are ready to go here. And then finally, it closes with trying to get it to another step to book a call for that person. And there's a whole bunch you could do at the end of this. You can do, again, role playing. So you're better prepared when you go into that sales call. So that's an example of how we are reinventing sales with AI agents at the center and how you can do things like this, even within a tool like ChatGPT. So let me pause here. Are there any questions about that? Or would anybody feel like a tool like this might be useful for them in their organization? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Or you can jump in with voice too if you want. All right. Jared says could be useful for sure. So there's just a lot of ways to be able to do something like this. Again, helping sales when you reinvent it for agents. So let me switch back over to the other part of the presentation again. All right. So switching back there, yeah, and absolutely a time saver. We've got people who are saying that this will double their productivity in sales, 100% improvement, just by doing that task that I showed you. Okay. All right, so moving on here into other things about agents. So what I've got on the screen here is a recorded demo of working within ChatGPT so you can understand what an autonomous agent is able to do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it by choosing the plus menu and then choosing agent off the list. And this is what starts an agent. And so what it's going to do is log into my CRM system to put a task in to remind me to follow up with somebody. So I start it here. It now opens up a virtual computer up in the cloud. It navigates to HubSpot. I log in for it, so it saves my credentials. It gets to the user interface. It navigates around and finds the search box. It puts in the person's name, finds their record, opens it, looks around trying to figure out how to create a task, finds it and starts one, starts creating the task to follow up. Then it tries to find the date and doesn't see in the drop down. So it understands it needs to do a custom date, and then it chooses it from a calendar. Okay. And now it returns it back to me to either complete. Now, what I was trying to show there again is you've got an autonomous agent now that can do tasks for you of any sort in your organization. Okay. Let's see. So Denise says, get notes. Yes. And so we are recording it now. And so we'll send, I think we missed the first 5 minutes or so, but we will send that out afterward. Okay. And so to the point though, that there is this agent. Now, anybody within ChatGPT can use that agent to do any number of different things. I mean, just last week, we were building this new tool. And I asked my team to actually go and test the tool out. And actually, Lou on the phone here, he said, well, I'm just going to have ChatGPT Agent do it. And he had Agent go run a number of different test cases. And it was able to just go log into the application, test a whole bunch of different scenarios, and then give us a report on what worked or didn't work. Okay. I should have thought of that, but I didn't, right? And so knowing these capabilities exist to you and your employees is a game changer. Start thinking of ways of how you can use an agent to support your work. Okay. But it also goes beyond that. When you get to a certain point, you want to start automating a process. There's tools that are built to automate full processes. So this is one called Lindy, and Lindy is built for personal automation. Okay. And so this is something where you can have it like log into your CRM account and then notify you of people that haven't ordered in 90 days, and then draft a personalized email to them. It can do a whole bunch of different things, but you connect it to your email system, you set it up, and then the agent just does it for you. When you do it, it'll design something. It's basically a flow chart. You can see one example here. And then you just manage it by dragging and dropping and connecting it to systems. It's super easy to do. And all of a sudden, that agent is working on your behalf. You've got kind of another person that's supporting you, and it's pretty cheap. Okay. So that is how you can build automation through different AI agent tools. Okay. And there's some advanced ones. If you get into a larger organization, you can use tools like Maker and 8N. And I'll mention those in just a minute here. So that's AI agents. Does anybody have any other questions about AI agents before I move on here? All right. I'll move on here and I'll open up for questions at the end again, too. So the other thing I wanted to show here that's I think really important to know about right now is your company visibility. Many people are now using AI to find products and services. And so if your business is not visible to AI, your business is not going to show, right? People are not Googling for businesses as much anymore. And so there's a new tool called Gumshoe that we recommend. I put the URL to get into it. And if you use our thing, you'll get a little bit of a discount on it. But what it does is it actually sets you up and it monitors your brand positioning across all of the different AI applications on the market. And so what the screenshot is showing is that this brand, I ran it for one of our clients, they only show at about 32% of the AIs when people are searching for their products and services. And so this is actually the best one that I've seen so far. Most of the organizations, when we ran this for them, they are only showing it like a 4% or a 7%, maybe even zero. Okay. And so it's important to know as a small business leader that since people are now beginning to use AI to find their products and services, you need to show to AI. And so this product helps you understand what is happening for your business. And then it gives you some tips and even will support you in helping you become more visible. And yeah, it does give recommendations. It will even help you create really great content that will attract AIs to your website. So it's definitely a system that I recommend you spend some time on. Okay. All right. So there's tons more we could cover, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what's holding SMBs back right now. And so the things primarily that we see is first just knowing what's possible. Even like I just showed a moment ago, knowing what AI agents are doing, knowing how to reinvent a process, knowing how to get visibility to your application, things like Gumshoe, okay? Knowing what's possible is a major issue. That fear and uncertainty, knowing even if it's safe to use. We talked about that earlier. Knowing what the right products are that are the right ones for your organization. Having a clear path when there's so many different people competing for attention right now. And then last one, having a clear owner in your business. Not having that is not allowing your business to go forward. And some of the things that we recommend here. Tim asked, how to improve do you use for business? So yeah, we have this set up for us and we're beginning to add it and we're having a new website coming that is going to be more AI specific. Yeah, it'll be enabling it. So Gumshoe is a great tool. All right. So how do you overcome all of these things in your business and how can you become successful in 2026? So it's what I call the AI sprint. This is the first thing that I recommend. I talk about this every time that I go speak to a group. And what this is setting up the expectation, the cadence, and the support in your company to use AI every single day and to every month try out a new thing and apply it to your business. And we call that a sprint. So every month you say, what should we try to do this month with AI that's going to help our business? And then during that month, you try it. And at the end of the month, you reflect back and say, what did we learn? Did it work? And then the next month, you do it again. You create another goal. Okay, maybe we got partway last month. Let's try it again. Let's look for a new way of doing it. Let's add something. Let's extend it to our business. And so this concept is just every month, you, your employees, you do a sprint. You actually specifically ask, what are you going to do? You set a goal. And at the end of the month, you reflect back, you specify the learnings, you share them broadly, and you do it again. This one task of being really clear about what you're going to do in the next month and experimenting and learning is what will start moving your organization forward. Okay. You can do it yourself in your own role. You can ask employees to do the same thing. You have to be intentional about it, though. Okay. Now, the other thing I won't go through in detail here is that I did build a whole methodology around this. And this is your actual transformation plan. Okay, and there's 6 steps to it. You go through these all in sequence. And what it does is it moves you up that ladder of capability. And it starts with sparking action with leaders. You have to get your leadership team aligned as to the opportunity and who's responsible for it. Make them understand and go hands-on to learn these tools. The next one is position your company to win with AI. And this means evaluating what do you need to do to support your future customers. Okay. If you know your industry is changing, you need to figure out how it's going to change and start moving toward it. Okay. And then rally your employees to use AI daily is the third step. And again, this is super important. This means creating a safe environment of AI use and giving your employees the tools and training to take advantage of AI. And then the fourth step is to begin integrating it, starting it in your sales and marketing processes, as I mentioned earlier. And generally, what I say is you don't want to start trying to do task integration and process integration until you've done those first three steps. Because if your employees are not rallied to use AI, they don't feel like it's safe, they're not going to support doing process automation and other things. And then after you get to these, then you start moving into your bigger picture things of how it affects your culture in your company and how you can create brand new products and services in the market by trailblazing. But those are more advanced things you get to, and those take you to the top of that capability ladder. Okay. So doing the AI sprint is the most important thing that you can do in your business this year. Set that intentionality and start creating better capabilities in your business. All right. Now, I want to go through some specific recommendations here to make this hopefully as useful as possible. Okay, and I'll take questions about these and we'll close in just a couple minutes after Q&A. The first one is, again, use AI daily. Make this the number one goal. Start doing this and make that a same expectation of your employees. Number two, use only the paid and business level AI application. Like I mentioned earlier in the call today, make this the standard. Don't use the free applications for business. They are risky. Third, the standard application to use. We get this question just continually. What should I use? Copilot, ChatGPT, or whatever. So my recommendations right now. If you are a Google Workspace user, use Gemini. It's become a very capable product. It's essentially included for free if you're on one of the Google Workspace plans. Try it out, start using it. If you feel like you need something more advanced, then look for other tools. If you're a software developer, you should be using Claude. Okay. Maybe you'll be using multiple tools. Like I use probably 5 different main AI apps every single day, but software developers are best using Claude. Otherwise, use ChatGPT. Okay. And certainly there's a big thing missing from this list, which is Copilot. For most people, I say don't use Copilot. We don't find that it's got as advanced functionality, and we don't find people at the same level of satisfaction and use as using the other tools. If you're giving it for free or you've got extra money to spend, great. It can be helpful for doing things like better integrating with Microsoft Office. But in many ways, what we're doing is we're switching to move from Microsoft Office into your AI application like ChatGPT, becoming the primary way you do work. Yeah. And so right now is a good point for you to start moving away from the Microsoft ecosystem. So there's a whole lot of complexity behind that, but ultimately I'd say use one of these before using Copilot. Okay. Next one, set up Lindy for your personal automation. Try it out at least so you can start understanding it. And then you can start working into N8N or Make if you want to do more process level automation. All right, question here from Tim. If your org's a Microsoft company as a large company, well, we have this same thing many, many times. Many of large organizations, actually, even to step back for a second, I mentioned earlier in the call, this isn't really a project you give to IT. And what we see is that in organizations that have handled AI like a typical IT project, they told their IT team to say, hey, we need to do AI. And so the IT team is probably a Microsoft shop. They say, well, Copilot's a safe thing to do. Okay. And that means they go with it. But we find that that doesn't create adoption. It doesn't actually give that organization benefits. And frankly, they waste a lot of money. I mean, we've got an example working with a very large company right now. They have 40,000 employees. I think they've got 1,000 licenses to Copilot. They only have a 5% adoption rate. Okay. And so people just don't use it effectively. And so what that means is depending on what your role is in that company, you need to figure out a whole strategy about getting AI use up. And that's something that's typically more broad than just an IT responsibility. Now, if you're an individual in an environment that Microsoft Copilot is the standard one, certainly take advantage of it. It's got good features, maybe just not as good as the others. So you should totally get to know it. And then if you can, see if you can get approved for one of the other tools. And a lot of organizations are now allowing you to also use tools like ChatGPT with the right settings. And then you can get the best of both worlds. Okay. But certainly I would try them all out. And then finally, or maybe not finally, the next one is learn ChatGPT Agent. For people that are using ChatGPT, it is a very powerful tool, like I showed. Try it out. There is no equivalent to ChatGPT Agent within Copilot. And that's one of the reasons why we support it. Connect up your ChatGPT apps. So in ChatGPT, there's now apps that can connect a whole bunch of different things. Microsoft Outlook and email. You can even connect to public apps like Canva and Notion and HubSpot. And so start learning those apps so you're able to go and log in and get access to your information. And then it becomes super powerful. I mean, just yesterday, I was working to remind myself of a long running conversation with a client. And instead of me trying to search through a whole bunch of emails, I logged into ChatGPT, had it look through all of my emails, my HubSpot history, and give me a summary of all of my conversations about this client and this issue. So super, super helpful. Okay. And then the next one here is set up Gumshoe for AI visibility. In a small business environment, you absolutely should know how well your company shows up in AI. Okay. So there's a whole bunch of additional recommendations we could give. We have literally hundreds of recommendations for different things, but those were the top things I think to get your organization started this year if you haven't already. So Gemini's version of ChatGPT Agent. Actually, right now, Gemini, I don't even think has one. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that they've got an autonomous agent through Gemini at the moment.
It depends on, I was just about to drop a comment in here. It depends on what you mean by agent. If you mean more the custom GPT, then there's Gemini Gems. There's also a agent builder for Gemini Enterprise, and I'll drop that in there as well. But an exact core, I don't think there's an exact match to agent mode in ChatGPT though.
Yeah. There you go. So getting toward the end here. So I mentioned that a lot of organizations don't have a good strategy. So what we've actually done to help with this is we've created a new tool. It's a 7-minute AI strategy assessment. I had emailed this out to some organizations yesterday. And so if you go to this website, you can start it right now. It'll ask you 12 questions about your organization, how you're currently using AI, and it will give you an assessment against all of our best practices, and then give you specific steps to take to create a strategy so you are moving forward within 90 days effectively. Okay. And so definitely I'd say try that out, regardless of the size of company. It'll help you move forward effectively in your company. And we're happy to give you feedback about that as well. So anyway, make sure you take that down. Or actually, can you put that in the chat, Lou, or maybe so people can get a link to it as well?
Will do.
All right. All right. Now, a couple things. Just the one slide about what we're doing at Stellis, just so we understand what we can support you with. We work under a monthly subscription and kind of retainer model where we give you advice and we help you move up that ladder, the capability model that I mentioned. We have AI advisors who support you in organizing your monthly sprints, giving you feedback about how to do it effectively to help you avoid some of the issues we've seen, and certainly give you all the support and best practices that we have. And then we offer all the services to help transform your company as well, from leader and staff training. We've got online courses. We've got technical implementation to help build the things when needed. And soon, we're going to start doing a community, kind of like what we're doing today. We're kind of trying this out here. We're going to be doing meetings like this and deep dives into each of these individual things to give more visibility to it and support a larger community just like this. We'll be adding in a help desk with office hours and other things, and even doing cohorts for implementation. So stay tuned for those things. We also do some accelerators. So in 30 days, we can launch AI effectively in your company, making sure everybody's trained and safely using it. And we've got other things to figure out a roadmap and really how you can get advantage of it as quickly as possible. And of course, we do technology implementation too. All right, so I will get ready to close here, but I'll open up for questions. We've got a couple minutes here where we can talk about anything. So if you've got anything AI related, any questions on your mind I didn't cover, go ahead and either jump in with voice or put them into the chat. Be happy to address them. No questions at all? All right. Well, if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. My email address is on there. You can look at our website as well. We hope you can be effective in using AI, and this was a useful call for you today. The thing I always end on in my presentations is that it is day one. It's always day one with AI, and you can always make progress. And so start moving forward, and you can be successful too. Thank you all for dialing into the call today. Good luck. All right. And you can go ahead and stop the recording there, Jim.
Right, a moment.
All right. Let's go ahead and just end the call there. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.